Hey Frag fam, Corbin here again from Northwest Scent. So I was at Burlington's a couple of days ago. I was just looking through, seeing what they had, if they had any kind of hidden gem fragrances. And then I came across a fragrance from the Banana Republic Icon line, which is like their higher end line. They come in these really nice boxes actually, and they're on the affordable end, about $19.99 usually when you find them. And then I kept looking around and I actually found 3 others. So I found 4 in total and they were all different. So I ended up buying all of them. Like I said, I've never tried these fragrances. I've heard decent things about some of them. I thought, why not? Let's pick these up, give them a shot and see what they're all about. So like I said, I have 4 fragrances from the Banana Republic Icon line that I'm gonna be doing first impressions on today. So if you guys are interested in hearing about my first impressions, please stick around. But first, let's roll that intro. All right, welcome back. So like I said, we're gonna be doing my first impressions on 4 different fragrances from the Banana Republic Icon line. I haven't tried anything from this line at all. And honestly, I don't even have a Banana Republic fragrance in my collection. I used to at one point way back in the day. It was actually one of the first fragrances I ever got, probably almost 12 years ago at this point. I can't remember what it was called, I got rid of it, but it was a pretty nice fragrance. Nothing super complex, but these are supposed to be a little bit higher end, just a little bit deeper and higher quality as well. So I'm gonna show you the fragrances I picked up now. So the first one was number 17, Oud Mosaic. And then we have number 78, Vintage Green, which I've seen people talk about this one in particular. And then this next one I've seen mentioned as well before. It's called Linen Vetiver, although they don't have a number assigned with this one. I'm not really sure why that is. And then the last one is 06, which is called Black Platinum. And I've never heard of this one, so I'm really curious what this one's all about. So I'm just gonna save you guys the hassle of having to watch me open up all of this cellophane. I'm gonna remove it and I'm gonna get right back to you guys. So I got all the cellophane removed and here's what they look like when they're unwrapped. So it is actually kind of a matte finished hardcover box. It's not a thin cardboard box. And they actually slide out with this really nice cutout for the bottle to sit in. Then you have this sleeve, of course, that this inner piece goes inside of. So a really, really nice presentation, honestly, for fragrances that I paid $19.99 for. This is really high quality, honestly, better than some $100 designers that you find. So I'm fairly impressed with the presentation. I'm gonna pull out the bottle just so you guys can see it. These are all 75 milliliter size bottles. So here it is. This is my first time seeing it in person. It's kind of a square glass shaped bottle, but the edges are kind of cut out. So you get like an octagon shape when you look at it from the top down, I guess. Okay, and the cap is, okay, it clicks into place. I wasn't sure if it was magnetic or not. And it's kind of got this faux leather collar that the cap sits on. You can see it goes all the way around. So a really nice, elegant looking bottle. I'm fairly impressed with the presentation on these fragrances. But now that that's out of the way, I actually want to start spraying these. I'm gonna start with Vintage Green, which is this one that I pulled out, just because it's the one I opened up, but this is also the first one I found when I was out at Burlington's. So I think that means that this is the one I'm supposed to try first. So I'm gonna get everything set up and then we're gonna start testing. Okay, so I had to go make some tester strips, which I probably should have done beforehand, probably, I don't know. But anyway, here we go. So I just did my usual, which was taking a note card, cutting it up into little tiny strips. I have 4 of them, which is all I need for this video. So like I said, we're gonna be starting with this one right here, number 78, Vintage Green. And let's do our first spray. So gotta get the atomizer straightened out, pointing the right way. Here we go. Okay, I did like 3 sprays there. I wanted to really get this thing soaked. Okay. I probably should have said what I was expecting going into this because I haven't looked at the notes. I'm obviously was expecting something green, which this does smell very green, but it's not like your traditional green. This isn't really coniferous or anything like that, not like ultra woody. It's more like a clean vetiver kind of green with bergamot. So it's like a light citrusy, faintly grassy kind of green. There's a little touch of sweetness in there too, and like almost like a fresh floral note, like what I would imagine as being orange blossom or neroli, something along those lines. So not powdery or jammy, just like a light, fresh kind of white floral. And like I said, a little bit sweet, but not like a vanillic sweetness or anything like that. It's probably coming from some of the fruity notes in here. So yeah, it's like grassy, very green, but with like a bergamot kind of greenness as well. and then kind of fruity sweet with a little bit of this white floral touch in the background. And it smells really nice. It's kind of reminding me of something that I've smelled before, although it's completely blanking my mind. I can't think of what that is right now, but this does smell a little bit familiar, but I'm not regretting it at all. This seems like a really nice purchase for, you know, $19.99, basically 20 bucks. So that's basically my first impressions of the number 78 vintage green. So very green, but kind of with like a green citrusy touch as well, white floral and a little bit sweet and a little bit fruity. So honestly, a really nice fragrance. This is definitely something that I could see myself wearing for this time of year and even going into the summer. It has that freshness to it. It's not like a heavy, overly woody vetiver kind of thing. So again, that was number 78 vintage green. Okay, so the next one up to bat is number 17 Oud Mosaic, which I'm basically just going in the order of how I found them at Burlington's. I don't know, that just makes the most sense to me. So here we go. I'm gonna get this thing ready. They always put on the atomizers backwards on bottles, it seems like. You always have to straighten them out. Okay, there we go. So Oud Mosaic right here. Again, I just did 3 sprays. I'm just gonna try and be consistent with that, I guess, for the rest of the video. I'm gonna wait a second. And again, I should have said what I'm expecting. I'm not smelling right now, by the way. I'm expecting obviously some kind of oud, but this is a designer fragrance. So I'm not expecting like a heavy fecal oud, probably something on the darker and woodier side. As far as Mosaic, I don't really know what they're trying to infer with that. We'll have to see. Okay, so this is, yeah, it's not a fecal oud. You can definitely tell there is some kind of oud here. It's probably a synthetic oud, but it's definitely coming across oudy, more so like the oud you would see in something like Tom Ford's Oud Wood. And I'm not saying they smell the same. This does not smell like Oud Wood, but that same style of kind of dark, but yet almost fresh and just very, very woody, that kind of oudy smell. That's kind of what I'm getting here. This is definitely on the darker side. And they've put florals in here as well. This seems almost like an oud rose combo. It's kind of reminding me of like an oud rose style fragrance. And it's more on the powdery side, so I'm assuming there is rose in here, but it's not a thick, heavy, jammy rose to my nose. It's definitely on that like powdery side. And there's like a fruitiness in here as well, like a fruity sweetness, which I can't really put my nose on exactly, but it is kind of fruity. And there's also a spiciness here too. It could be like cardamom or like a saffron or something. You usually see that paired with fragrances with like oud and whatnot, but I can't tell which one of those it is or if it's either of them even. It's just kind of this spiciness. Not super sweet. It is a little sweet from some like kind of fruitiness like I was saying, but it's not like a sickeningly sweet kind of rose oud combo here. This is definitely on the powdery and drier side with like a touch of sweetness, and I think the sweetness here is balanced quite nicely. If you get something that's just like plain powder and oud where it's really dry and kind of bitter smelling, it's not the most pleasant thing. I think they've done the right thing here by adding some kind of fruity note to offset it with a little bit of this sweetness. So to me, yeah, like I'm saying, this, or like I said, this to me smells like a oud rose combo. The oud here is dark and very dry and woody, not on that dirty side at all. The rose is like a very powdery rose, and I wouldn't say like a feminine rose or anything like that. I'm not a huge rose lover by any means, but this is very pleasant to my nose, and there's some kind of fruitiness in there as well that is just offsetting it a little bit with this sweetness, and it does have a spiciness or a spicy kick in the background as well. So I think this is honestly really nice. This is more up my alley personally. I think I like that better than the this one right here, number 78 vintage green so far, but we're only on number 2. We have 2 more to try. So we're gonna move on to the next fragrance. Okay, so the next one up, which is number 3, this is Linen Vetiver. Again, this is the one that is missing the number for some reason. I don't know why this one doesn't get a number and the rest of them do. It doesn't really matter, but place your bets. Which way do you think the atomizer is gonna be facing on this one? Is it gonna be to the front, maybe the sides, or to the back? The last 2 have been pointing backwards, so I think it's gonna be facing this way. Let's see. Oh, it is actually facing forward this time almost perfectly. So that one was ready to go right out of the box. So we're just gonna spray it. This one, Linen Vetiver, I think it's gonna smell like probably aldehydic, very light and airy, because linen just kind of puts like clean clothes, you know, clean laundry, kind of, that's what they're probably going for here. That's what I imagine they're going for. And then vetiver, there's lots of different ways that vetiver can come across. I'm assuming because this is a designer fragrance on the lower end, probably trying to make it a little bit more wearable. So I would imagine it's gonna be like the light, woody, almost citrusy style of vetiver. So here we go, let's see. I gotta do one more. There we go. Consistency. So here we go. This one's kind of fallen a little bit flat on the tester strip, whereas the other one's kind of popped out immediately. This one seems like the style that you might have to wear it on your skin, which is stupid because you're supposed to wear all fragrance on your skin, but where the notes are kind of, they're laying on top of one another, and the ones underneath aren't really able to come out on paper. So I'm getting kind of a similar vibe to vintage green in the sense that I can kind of detect a vetiver here, although the vetiver in vintage green, or what I smelled in vintage green that smelled like vetiver, almost came across a little bit more complex and I would say challenging, but that's not a hard fragrance to wear. I just mean that the vetiver there was a little bit more on that mature side. Here it is very, very light. This is like a very citrusy vetiver, and I'm sure it's paired with some kind of citrus in here like lemon or bergamot, something like that. This is kind of on that cleaner, lighter side, and maybe there's some aldehydes in here. It has this kind of herbal, bitter touch to it as well, like a leafy note. Something kind of leafy is going on here as well. Not as complex, honestly. Like, I'm gonna have to try this one on my skin, but nothing's really jumping out to me as much as the previous two, and probably the most underwhelming of the three so far. Like I said, I think Oud Mosaic was my favorite based on the first three that I've tried, including this one, of course. And then Vintage Green was a close second. This one's fallen to the back. It's just not impressing me. But of course, like I said, I'm testing it on paper, which I know is not an accurate representation of how it actually will come across. So I'm gonna have to try this on my skin. I'm gonna have to try all these on my skin. But just based on these first impressions, this is the most underwhelming for me. So we're gonna move on to the last fragrance, which is the Black Platinum. Okay, like I just said, we're gonna be doing Black Platinum. This is our last one. Here it is. Again, it's number 06. And Black Platinum, I have no idea how this one is supposed to smell. Platinum's an expensive metal. Maybe this is supposed to smell expensive, black, on the darker side. I don't really know exactly. We're gonna have to see here. So I'm gonna, yeah, okay, this one was facing backwards this time. So these bottles were just screwing with me, I guess. Here we go. Okay, did 3. I'll let it settle down just for a second. Okay, so it's been like 15 seconds. Here we go. Wow. This smells familiar. Again, I don't know what it smells familiar to, but it smells like similar to something I've smelled before. What is that? Oh my gosh, I know this smell. It smells similar to something. So this has like a dark, this is gonna sound weird, almost like a Play-Doh kind of vibe. Like, it's kind of dark, has this really heavy feel to it, but kind of this like sweetness and bitterness at the same time. I don't know, it's almost like, it just reminded me of Play-Doh. I don't know how to describe it other than that, but it smells familiar at the same time. This is gonna bug me until I can figure out what this smells similar to, but I do like it. So the darkness, I don't know what to attribute that to. It's not really coming across woody to me. There is like a powderiness to this as well, but it's not striking me as like floral. So I would imagine maybe like an amber in here, some kind of resin and vanilla accord. And it does have a sweetness to it as well. So I could kind of see there being like amber in this fragrance, but it's not an ambery fragrance per se. There is a lightness at the top too. Like I said, it does smell heavy and there's this kind of darkness kind of underneath, but there is some lighter notes and more vibrant at the top. And it's not really coming across citrusy to me. I don't know how to explain it other than that. Maybe like a fresh spiciness. But it's just bugging me that I can't think of what this smells similar to that I've tried before, and I might even have it in my collection. I'm gonna have to go dig through after this video and see what this is similar to that I've tried. This one's really hard for me to figure out though. I'm having a hard time actually figuring out the notes in here. It's heavy, Play-Doh-y, sweet and powdery kind of, but it has this lightness, almost this fresh spiciness at the top too. I do actually enjoy this a lot though, even though it might sound weird the way I'm describing it. This one's really intriguing. Like, this is the most, I would say, out there of the 4 that I've tried, even more out there than the Oud Mosaic one, because you do see a lot of that Oud Rose combo nowadays, so that one isn't really separating itself as much as maybe it would have if it came out 10 years ago, for example. But this is completely different than something I've smelled. And is actually kind of changing on this tester strip. I'm getting a little bit of development. There is almost a white floral popping out at me now. And I don't know which one it is, honestly, but it's coming out, or it's showing itself to me as something like along those lines. But there's that Play-Doh-iness still there and that powderiness. So this is lightened up a little bit, but it's still on that kind of heavy, bittersweet side with like this powderiness and this fresh spiciness, but like I said, it has lightened up a little bit. So I think of the 4 that I tried, Oud Mosaic is definitely my favorite. Honestly, I can't decide between this one, Black Platinum, or Vintage Green is my second favorite. Vintage Green is definitely easier to wear, but this one's intriguing to me, which I like the uniqueness of it. So those are probably basically tied. And then I guess Linen Vetiver is probably my least favorite, not because it's a bad fragrance, but I just didn't get much from it. It fell pretty flat on a piece of paper. So all in all, these were pretty good. I think that they do smell decently high quality, especially for 20 bucks. I think these definitely smell better than that. There's a lot of fragrances that cost more than these do that smell a lot worse and a lot more synthetic. These don't smell like cheap chemical messes. So all in all, I think these were pretty good. But again, Oud Mosaic was definitely my favorite. Okay, so I actually just remembered which fragrance I was thinking of when I was saying that this one reminded me of something. This one right here, Black Platinum. So it is Tom Ford's Noir Eau de Parfum. This fragrance, especially in that opening before that like white floral touch kind of came out, I would say that they smelled 80% similar, like strikingly close. Like that was where my mind went when I first started smelling this. So that is a fantastic fragrance. It's probably on a little bit more of the challenging side, and that's why it didn't sell very well, hence why it got discontinued recently. But I think it's a phenomenal fragrance. I don't know why I sold my bottle off. I had it for a while. I did enjoy it quite a bit. But this is fairly similar to that fragrance. So if you're looking for something similar to Tom Ford's Noir Eau de Parfum, I guess, check this one out right here, Black Platinum number 06. Just go to your local Burlingtons. That's where I found all of these. A really solid fragrance, just like that one is. Well, there you guys go. Those were my first impressions of the Banana Republic Icon line. I only had 4 here. I know there's a lot more than that, but I think I got a good mix of fresh and green, and then dark and kind of woody and floral as well. So I got a lot of different spectrums of fragrance here with just these 4, and this first impressions has definitely made me want to go out there and try and collect more from this line. I know there's one called, it has like cypress in the name. It's supposed to be very woody. I do like my woody and green fragrances, so I'm probably gonna be looking for that one going forward as well. But like I said, this is intrigued me enough to get more of them. So if you guys enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate dropping a like just to show your support, and then that way more people can see my videos on YouTube. Additionally, if you want to write a comment, just let me know your thoughts, as well as maybe some new video ideas or topics. That would be great too. And since you're down there doing all that stuff, if you've not already, if you could hit the subscribe button and then the bell notification, that would be amazing. That way you stay up to date on new videos whenever they get released going forward. But with all that out of the way, that's all I really have for you guys today. So I hope you have a good one. Stay healthy, stay wealthy, and smell great.